Good evening, or morning or afternoon, whenever you are seeing this. Welcome to Restore Belief with Nikki. I am Nikki. I am an ET abductee. A little bit about me, so you know who the heck you're talking to, or dealing with, or watching. There you go. That's the word I was looking for. Um, okay, so my name is Nikki Jacobs. I am a psychic medium. I am an ET abductee and a uh, forced MyLab participant and a forced SSP participant. If you do not know what that is, please do your research, look it up. Apparently, I need to be sure that I have chat filter on all messages. There we go. Um, Anyhow, welcome to my channel. Um, Tonight is going to be talking about, we're going to be talking about ETs. Nothing too much new there regarding the fact that that's what I'm going to be talking about. But tonight's main subject is about grief, going through grieving processes, because there are numerous different grieving processes. In the grand scheme of things, I'm not a counselor, but I have gone through over 30 deaths in my life. Starting at the age of 8, the one that I remember the most is at 8 years old. Actually, it started when I was 7. But the first DB, dead body, that I saw was my grandfather's. I had to think about that. I always get it mixed up because the first one that died was my grandmother. My grandmother's sister. And I remember her. She was a wonderful lady, my Aunt Anna. She's a great aunt. And then it was my grandfather's brother. And that was when I was 8 years old. And kind of still pissed at my grandmother for this one. But at 57 years old, I still get a little upset over it. Because my grandmother, it was my dad's side of the family. And hey, Mustafa, hi, hon. Welcome to my channel. So we're talking about grief. So the subject of grief, and I've had over 30. I stopped counting at 25 people that I know, or loved ones, family members, who have died and crossed over. And I know it's definitely more than 30 now, way more than 30 now. Hey, Amelia. Okay. Rebecca Gonzalez. Okay, but you're calling yourself Amelia. Okay, hello. Hi. Skilla Gorilla. Oh, haven't heard that one. Will not say certain numbers. Hello, Pelican. Hello. Oh, Kai. Hi, Kai. I need to talk to you. Kai, message me on Facebook Messenger, dear. I'll have to respond to it sometime tomorrow. Little Cam, hey, honey, how you doing? Thank you for coming in on Wednesday. That was very appreciated. Skilla Gorilla, you're new here. Yeah, that's that's the idea. That's why I'm doing these lives the way I am. So my name is Nikki Jacobs. I'm a psychic medium. I'm an lifelong ET abductee. I'm 57, and I am the. Hey, hold on to your britches. I am the surrogate mother to over 30 hybrid ET human hybrid children. That one is something that's really hard for a lot of people to handle. It's very nice to meet you too, Skilla, Skilla Gorilla. So basically, tonight's subject is dealing and talking about grief. Christopher Carrion, you said you were a medium. Yes, I am. I'm not doing readings tonight. If things do pop up, I will say it. I'm not doing cards tonight. At least that's not what I have anticipated doing. But yeah, it's nice to meet you. AP APN Junior. Hello, Sandra. Hey, Sandra. It's good to see you, dear. Um, so anyway, dealing with grief. So I've experienced when I say I experienced over 25, I mean it. 25 deaths in my life, starting at 7 years old. But the one that I think about the most is, well, not the most, but the one that really traumatized me hardcore. When I was, yes, purified water. Short answer, yes. 3i Atlas is real. ET ship. Get that out of the way right off the bat. So basically, when you are 8 years old and put into a they've got the mortuary and the viewing process. Some people do that with an open casket. My grandmother, my dad's mom, and I'm still not happy with her about it, put me into my great uncle's room with the coffin, and opened coffin and closed the door and told me, say goodbye to your uncle. And I was like, well, I did not understand. I didn't have the real understanding of what death was. And so those were my first two, was my great aunt from my grandmother, and then my grandfather, his brother had passed, and that's where I was put in. And so I have a little issue with my grandmother, even though she's on the other side now, or has been for a long, long time. I still take issue with that. You don't do that to an 8-year-old kid. APN, yeah, that's Val. I didn't look at my aunt. Yeah, I didn't understand what the coffin was. I was 8 years old, and the double doors closed. And so that was really my first experience with death. Then at 10 years old, it's very traumatizing to a child, Sandra. I totally agree with. Oh my God, Tim Mothman is in the house. Hey, dear, how you doing? And so the one that so that affected me, and then my grandmother, my mom's mom, had died when I was 10 years old, and then it progressed from there. We didn't have deaths in the family again until I was in my 20s, and our family went through a number of deaths. Our family and a few friends unexpectedly died, and I can't even fathom what a family member's dear friends went through. So they were camping, and her husband had died, and she was in the sleeping bag with him, and woke up to that, and I can't even fathom. I am so, even now it upsets me. But what I want to talk about tonight regarding death is that you can get through it. And the reason why I'm bringing this up, and yeah, there is a reason. The reason is because 2 days ago I went through a flashback memory. Something triggered it. I don't even remember what triggered it, and it triggered memory of a loved one who had died. And I was so stunned by the amount of crying that I did. And I went, this is years ago. I was like, how is this? And then I went, oh, yes. So one of the things that I dealt with in my counseling in the 1990s when I was in my 20s and 30s was how do you deal with that kind of grieving process? Because my grandmother, my mom's mom, when she died, and I was 10 years old, I was very close to my grandmother. She lived with us at one point. She had gone from being very healthy and very active to all of a sudden um, being diagnosed with a strange form of diabetes that nobody really understood. It was supposedly the exact opposite of diabetes, but it was still classified as diabetes. Um, and it's interesting that all of her siblings ended up with some form of diabetes. And I don't have that, but I am insulin resistant. So you look at the different things in the family, but regarding the grieving process, I grieved for my grandmother so hard as a child, um, that even when I was 18 and 19 and 20 years old, I still had a lot of hard times with her death. And it was because we were so close. So close. She was with me every single day, um, from almost every single day from the time I was born. And when you've got that kind of closeness, and her going blind, and then me being at 7 and 8 years old, a bit of a caretaker for her at different times, it made a difference. But the one a couple of days ago, or a couple of nights ago, excuse me. So I learned in my counseling in my 20s and 30s that how you grieve is a heck of a process, and it can affect you at any time of your life. And I only want to come on to talk about the fact that, because I've had friends that have died. I mean, like very close friends who have died. And some of them had a number of kids, and they're adult kids, but a number of kids, um, and my friend would come back and say hello, and because by this point I was understanding that I was a psychic medium, and dealing with all of sorry dealing with all of that. And so what I learned in counseling is that it becomes it becomes a lengthy process, and it can happen at any time of your life. Hello, Luke Adams. It's nice to see you here. Um, yeah, socialized complexity, world turned upside down, says APN. Yeah, I totally agree. Hello, Chris. Hello, so glad I found this channel and appreciate insights. Oh, you're welcome. I hope I can help in some way, fashion, or form, which is why I'm talking about this, because everybody goes through grieving processes in time. I'm not a licensed therapist. I'm not a counselor by any stretch of the imagination. I do not claim to be. Do your own research into that, and if you are having grieving issues, make sure you seek a counselor, because it really can come into play in that process. And the techniques and things that I learned in the counseling that I went through, which was called NLP, and you got to kind of be careful with NLP, but I'm so nice. Thank you. I appreciate that, Luke. Um, because you can find people who get really far out with it, from what I was told in the past, and not too long ago was also told that. So, um, but definitely, if you are grieving and you're having a really hard time with it, seek out counseling. It really can help. Um, and because of that counseling that I went through, what I learned. Oh, you subscribed. Thank you, Luke. I appreciate that. Very. That's heartfelt. When I say I appreciate something, it is heartfelt. It is from my heart. I truly mean it. It is not just something I spew out. So I just want you to, know that. Al Ventureson, what doing? Talking about grieving processes, that kind of thing. and then eventually talking about ETs, because I am an ET abductee, and that's a hard one for a lot of folks to handle. Excuse the cheeks for being red. I'm still rather warm from my shower. So, um, uh, English. Hold on. My dad died today. Is that what you meant? I am so sorry, sweetheart. Truly, I am very sorry. Um, so basically, get yourself into counseling and find out how to go about, because there is a process and there is a way to release a lot of that. Um, but know this, the reason why I'm talking about this is because it can still happen. I was so stunned 2 nights ago that I had such an emotional reaction regarding a specific, well, I consider them a family member, person who had died in my life quite some time ago, and it just shocked me. No, and I was like, wow. And I went, you know what? Folks need a reminder, like I did, that it can happen at any time. I mean, um, that specific death, it, when you're really close with somebody and you know them very, very well, and they unexpectedly die because of whatever, try this again, whatever health complication that they had, and it's completely unexpected, it blows everybody's mind because it is so unexpected. Just know that there's a process. Know that there are people that you have in your life that you can reach out to. Remember that when you're going through this, and know that you're not alone. If you have a loved one who's died, you most likely got loved ones who are also going through the grieving process. Reach out to them. Um, and with my old past history of counseling, I was so thankful because I went through the memories of what I was taught in my counseling, and I went, oh, yeah, I've got to do this to take care of myself tonight. I've got to do that. I need to write this down so that I'm making sure that I'm actually following through, because when you get into that mode, at least for me personally, when I get into that mode, I cut off certain things and I don't talk about it. And that can be a very not such a great thing. That's also part of, for me, my grieving process. So you live and learn, and that's part of it. And death is part of life. I mean, we're born, we live through however long we've got, and then we die, and we hopefully cross over. Um, Instead of choosing to stay earthbound. But yeah, it's quite a process, and so um, Luke, sorry that you only have 13 people watching the live stream, honey. No worries. Um, it's fine. It's totally fine. Um, there are so many times, the way I'm doing these live streams is to where it usually brings in more people over the course of the night. The last few live broadcasts that I've done, I've had 1,700 that have watched the live stream, or were in and out and came back. I had a lot of that, but I had a lot of hours as well. So I've learned different things about the algorithms. So that's why I'm doing this the way I'm doing it, because it can bring more people. Oh, 1010 on the numbers right now. Well, that's cool. So if you're into numerology, and I'm not into numerology, but I am into angel numbers and paying attention to normal numbers, because that is a sign from the other side. And I started recognizing that when I talk about those numbers, it may help somebody else. It may mean something to somebody else. Um, Right side lane choice. Hello. Says I'm chosen. Okay. Um, so visionary steps. Hey, not trolling, but health is everything, both mental and physical. Take care. Lots of love. Thank you. I appreciate that. Um, yeah. So, okay, I just want to be sure that I got through everybody, and I have a tendency to get talking and forget about chat, even though I got little lines going up the screen. Chris, because of your live streams, I've actually gone back and at some of your previous recorded shows too. Your content is amazing. Thanks for sharing everything that you do. Oh, thank you, Chris. I appreciate that very, very much. In fact, yeah, being an ET abductee, I think, is really important to talk about. And going through one's experiences as an ET abductee. But, and people need to know that not all ETs are love and light, and they're not all evil and bad, and they're not all angels, and they're not all demons. They're not angels and they're not demons. So there's a large false belief in the mass public because of what's been generated by the governments of this planet. 1210 on the 1210 on the numbers. Um, right side is saying what's in the collective tonight. Not sure about the collective at this second, but definitely wanted to talk about grief because it is so much a part and parcel to all of us being alive and busy and doing things, and it's part of it can be part of daily life sometimes. It took me years. Luke, I'm your second top fan. Thank you. Um, so it can take a while, and folks need to realize that and understand that, and remember that it's okay that grief can hit at any time. Like a couple of nights ago, I was absolutely stunned. I haven't done grieving for that person in a very long time. And then it's interesting too because it progressed into from the crying mode for me, from the crying mode into um, relearning, being reminded by my family on the other side that you can grieve again, that it's okay to, 1111 on the numbers, that it is okay to grieve again, and that you can get through it. You can live through it. It is really freaking hard sometimes, mind-bendingly hard sometimes, but you can get through it, and it is okay to get through it. And if you need a crisis line, find a crisis line. I if I had thought more, I would have provided crisis numbers and all of that. I don't have the national crisis line and all of that. Otherwise, I'd put it into the chat or I'd be speaking it. But yeah, do yourself a favor. If you are in crisis, call them. That's what they're there for. Uh, right side is asking, are you an empath? I'm a psychic medium. Yes, I am empathic. But I'm not doing psychic stuff tonight. I'm not. High jump. Hello. What do you mean, I'm not saying that word unless I know what you specifically mean. Okay. Right side. Struggling makes us all stronger and better people. It shows that. Yes, it can. It very much can. So, uh, anyway, hello, hi, Jim. Nice to see you and have you in the chat. Um, but I just want to remind people it's okay if you have somebody who's died, crossed over, and well, who's died, and and it's been years since you've gone through the grieving process. Just be sure. Just be sure to realize and remember that it pops up sometimes. Okay, I just realized I'm plugged in hang on a second, I gotta unplug. Okay, hopefully that doesn't screw anything up. And hopefully there was no buzzing. When I stay plugged in, I have the sound has a tendency of buzzing, and I totally forgot about that until just now. So just unplug. So hopefully the sound is better. Um, and apparently I'm going to sneeze, so I'm going to hit mute for a second. Fighting a sneeze, that gets interesting real fast because now my eyes start to want to water. Anyway, so just know that it's part of 1111 on the numbers again. It's part of the process of grieving, and it can hit you at any time. I'm so very thankful for knowing things like my grandmother um, and my mother, who were trained to believe that certain flowers meant certain things. And so it's interesting that um, for my birthday, I was given a living flowers plants. I was given plants, and it's interesting that the people that gave me those plants did not know of the certain plants that they were buying for me had very specific meaning to me. And when I received those, this giant bouquet of different plants, and I still have them. They're still quite alive and going. Um, and that was back in February. And I looked at that plant and I just immediately started crying because they were the same plants that I grew up with in knowing, and that way I knew exactly who it was that talked to them and nudged them and said, "Hey, get her this, get her this." And I find that fascinating because that's our loved ones coming through and encouraging somebody else to help you. So there's things like that that can happen, and it can be quite significant, folks. I mean, like really quite significant. Um, so our family on the other side, our loved ones on the other side, they'll come through to our other family members or our other friends, and they'll say, "Hey, this is they'll do this nudge nudge type of thing, and if the living person, physically living person, does that, I that's those are spirit messages, folks. You got to remember that. You got to keep that in mind. Um, but I really wanted tonight as a reminder for folks that it's okay um, to go through a grieving process, even if it's been 20 years ago. That loved one died and crossed over. They're on the other side, or they have they've died, crossed over, and have been reincarnated. I've heard other psychics say, "Oh, they once you cross over, you don't have that link." That's not true. In my case, that's not what I've experienced at all. What I've experienced is that there is a energy a residual energy, and that energy is found, um, and is helped by the ones that have chosen to stay on the other side. 13, 12. Interesting numbers tonight. Anyway, um, right side is saying plants are like us, mostly water, and frequency affects water. Words are so powerful. Yes, they really are. Um, I actually, when my human son was growing up, it sounds so strange to say it that way, but I'm going to leave, but I'll try to be there on your next live stream. Okay, that'll be next Saturday. Next Saturday, 10 p.m. Pacific. Depends on how I'm feeling. I always say 10 p.m. Pacific. That's the choice, but I will do 11 p.m. as well if I'm not able to do 10. But I will post a notice on my Facebook page and on the channel if I'm not going to be able to make it, depending upon what's going on. So just an FYI. Anyway, so I find it really fascinating what other psychics say regarding um, when the soul reincarnates and that there is no energy, there is no anything. 12, 12 on the numbers. Wow. Um, 31, 12, 12. Very interesting. Anyway, uh, so because that's not what I've experienced at all. I've known souls to reincarnate, and I've come to find out from the hierarchies that um, there's a I don't know how to say it. It's like a residual that your guides will help you to understand. They'll bring in that residual energy and relay the messages. It's very interesting. Chris is asking, question for you: is reincarnation a decision, and all how common or uncommon? Battleline. Oh, Robert's in the house. Hello. Okay, is reincarnation a decision, and all decision and all how common or uncommon is it in your informed opinion? Um, Reincarnation is everybody. I mean, if a soul chooses to stay on the other side, they excuse me, choose to stay on the other side. I'm about to sneeze again, and I didn't sneeze last time, so it's weird. Um, and Robert is saying leftovers, yeah. Um, so reincarnation, it's up to the soul if they choose to reincarnate or if they choose to stay in that existence for however in the soul's existence for however long. Um, you know, they may have things. I know people that have had things on the other side where it was so planned out for each lifetime um, that they would reincarnate anywhere from within minutes after their death to weeks, months, years after their death. So, and I know for me personally, because I remember 104 of my lifetimes, and people are like, "Oh, that's bullshit. I've never heard that." No, I've freaking counted them, and it's been a hell of an eye opener to me. Um, and so, not quite. Right side is making a statement. I think the light at the end of the tunnel is actually our dead coming out of another vajayjay. No, not quite. Kai. So, Nikki, we're not forced to keep coming back to this planet. Depends on who you talk to, Kai. Some psychics will tell you, yes, Others will tell you absolutely not. You can choose where you're going. What I have experienced and what some other people that I know who do remember their lifetimes have experienced, um, I've been personally, I've been consistently told that I am going to be on Earth for vast number of lifetimes and for very good reasons. I'm not going into those reasons publicly. That is personal and private. Um, and but I know other people who remember, excuse me, being literally told that they were forced to be on this planet, and and that's where they're going to stay. I know other people, alive and living people, who remember their past lifetimes who are like, no, when I incarnated into this life, it was a choice. And my next lifetime, 1212 on the numbers, and my next lifetime, I fully intend on being an ET. Well, here's the thing with what I know about that. Um, from the ETs themselves. Uh, if you're going into from being a human into an ET soul, you're going to be learning some extraordinary information really fast, which means you're most likely going to be on the other side for quite some time getting caught up. Everybody talks about, and I've heard a lot of other psychics and mediums talk about this, and everybody's different on it. Everybody's experience is different in what they're told. Why that is, I do not know. I do not understand why. I can only make estimations and guesses as to why. Um, Sitcho or sick? Um, Hello, how you doing? um, but there's a real difference in coming and going. You're basically coming into Sitcho. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that, dear. Welcome to my channel. Um, so there's so many things that different psychics are told, and I find that fascinating. But I know, and I lost my train of thought as to how I was going to say this, but I know that um, it is a choice, but for whatever reason, certain souls are not allowed that choice. I do not know why that is. Um, but I do know that if you are going from a human soul into an or a human soul, excuse me, into a human body regarding reincarnation. Sorry, I'm getting tongue tied. I'm trying to say stuff and it's really not, my brain's having a hard time connecting with my mouth at the second. um, Jacoby Hayden, hello, how you doing? Um, it can be really, they have to learn new info. That soul has to learn new info, and that's what I have understood from the ETs. Because you've had an existence as a human for however long in this lifetime. So, how are you? I'm actually good. I'm a little on the warm side, hence the bright red nose and the cheeks and chin and face and everything. Other than that, I'm fine. Um, but yeah, it's quite the conundrum, so to speak. Info. Try cleansing your aura. Sisho is saying try cleaning your aura with salt. Sometimes some soul prevent some info to come out. True, very true. Um, there's a lot of different. cleansing methods that I'm really not getting into tonight. But yeah, tonight is mostly about grief. But and because I know Kai. Oh my God, Kai, I'm so sorry. Because I know Kai, I wanted to be sure that I answered her question. Speaking of which, how's your knee, dear? I've been meaning to check on you, and I didn't get a chance to. Um, so anyway, just know that everybody is very different. Andrew Richardson. Hi, Nikki. Hi, Andrew. How you doing, hon? Um, every soul is different regarding what they're told, the information, and there are reasons for that. That much I do know. If a soul is supposed to be, oh, good, I'm so glad. I was worried about you for a while regarding that knee. Um, so good with birds and um, falconry. Anyway, I was really hoping you'd be able to continue. Anyhow, um, so there are reasons that a soul reincarnates here, and some people call Earth a prison planet. You can look at it that way, but it's a learning planet. It is a very basic learning planet, and when you learn, you're supposed to grow and be able to learn to let go of shit in life, whatever that shit is, because there's a lot of it. And you're supposed to be able to move forward. And if you're not moving forward, then you're not putting in the work. You're not putting in the work that it takes to move yourself forward. Um, and it means that you're stuck. So it means looking around you as to what's your physical environment? What is, I mean, is that due to finances? That's a different ballgame. Is it due to uh, that you're going to bitch, whine, complain, carry on, and you're not going to take action? Then that's on you. That's on your soul. You have to be willing to learn. And if you're, say, in your, say, 46, 47 years old, and you've made choices in your life and you're firmly planted and this is what's going to happen and that's how it's going to be and blah blah blah, I mean, it's just really that way for you, then you're probably going to be reincarnated here to be relearning a lot of the same experiences that you had in this lifetime. That's a hard one for me to grasp. Why would a person choose to do that? It is a choice. Everything in life is a choice. There are many different options. It's which avenue do we choose? And that's hard to handle for a lot of people. Um, a lot of people do not understand that. Well, I didn't choose to be this, and I didn't choose to do that, and that's how it happened. Yeah, there are aspects of that regarding souls. There are aspects of that those are things that may not have it opportunity may have been wrong place, wrong time, that kind of shit. Those are aspects. Everything is not planned out to the nth degree like people think it is. It's not. You have very set pathways that are you chose in your life. So, and that's hard for a lot of people to handle. Um, now, get this. My mother, and I know this, I have a hard freaking time with this, but I know that she chose to go through the process of Alzheimer's and dementia. I took great issue with that. for a lot of years. And I grieved over it for a lot of years because I was so angry about that. And I was like, why would you fucking choose to do that? Well, the interesting thing is that a combination of my dad on the other side, my grandfather, my mom's dad, um, couple of great aunts and uncles, all came and told me that was her choice, Nikki. It was for you, so that you could learn, so that you could learn the certain things that you needed to learn in your life. And you made the choice to learn. Instead of not following through in certain things, you made that choice. Oh, I was so pissed off over that. I was like, it's her life. She shouldn't be doing this for. No, 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 no. I really had a hard time with that. People did not understand. When I told that to a couple of really close friends, folks that I consider family members now, we had conversations over that, and let me tell you, chats blew up because I mean, text chats just and then there were phone calls and what do you mean, dot 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 dot, and I'm like, and I'm bawling. There are times where that was really hard for me to grasp that I had a family member that made that choice for me so that I could learn. Oh, I'm like, mm, 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 mm. But you got to understand that's also love. That's love between souls. That's the love between a mother and a daughter. Love between a parent and a child. Child or adult child, whatever. You get my point. Um, Janet Janet Vantwerp. Hello. You said hi, so I'm saying hi back. Little Cam, indeed. Okay. Chris, what advice can you give to somebody who wants to learn more about their past lives? What's the process? What resources should they look for? It's a great question. Great series of questions, actually. What advice can you give to someone who wants to learn more about their past lives? Okay. Start paying attention, like really paying attention to different aspects of your life. What were you interested in when you were a child? This is the thing regarding me. I'm going to explain my situation regarding that. I didn't understand past lifetimes until, oh God, I was in my late 40s, early 50s. Um, things didn't, I could not understand when I was a kid why the bloody heck I was so invested in anything to do with horses, anything to do with ocean, anything to do with archaeology. I mean, we are talking 5, 6, 7 on up the line. Then I didn't understand why. Uh, Sorry, I just had a brain fart. Has to do with uh, becoming an adult, going through the teenage years and being heavily interested in numerous different factors of things. Um, Anything from Native American to um, why trying to understand as a kid, why would people be slaves? I didn't understand that as a child. That made no sense to me until it was explained to me by an adult, by a family member, and all of those were past lifetimes. I didn't understand why I hated with a passion as a kid. It made no sense to me when I was growing up. why I hated Roman soldiers from like way back. Well, it's because that was a past lifetime, actually, two past lifetimes. I hated being a Roman soldier. It wasn't until I started putting things together as an adult, long past it, an adult in my 40s, trying to understand what all of this was about. And then I had literally a group of psychics. Trying to remember how many there were of us in the room. Um, one, two. There were five. There were five in a half, like a half moon circle, and I was sitting in front of them. And it was a semi-free reading, sort of. I don't know how else to. Sorry, my chair is squeaking. Semi-free reading, um, and one of them, and I was an avid swimmer. Hey, Luke, you're back. Awesome. Welcome back. I was an avid swimmer I mean, practically birth. They couldn't get me out of the freaking water. And I'm still that way. I'm like, oh, ocean? Oh, I'm in the ocean. Yes, please. Lake? Oh, yes, please. Although I'm very much careful about lakes because of swimmer's itch and all that stuff. That's a whole other subject. But, and I used to do an extensive amount of swim. They couldn't get me out of the water. Well, come to find out, during this unexpected psychic reading, I had one specific psychic tell me, "Do you understand what?" Hey, the Rev Nation, come on in. Serious question. Go for it. Ask. Uh, no. Can a person return as an inanimate object? No. Yes, I did. Our October's lot? Rocktober slots. Oh, okay, got it. Did you just say you hated being a Roman soldier? Yes, I did. Um, it wasn't until years later that I had two lifetime that I started having flashback memories of those two past lifetimes. I hated it. Absolutely hated it. And I was vicious. I was not a nice person. Um, and for me to say the word hate is a big deal. I don't use that unless I truly deeply mean it. Words matter, okay? So when you speak, you're projecting. Um, how can you remember what you were? I had flashbacks. Um, when so when I got on a horse, I'm trying to remember how old I was. I think it was 4 or 5 years old, and they put me on a horse, and I mean, my body just automatically relaxed. My whole body, I didn't understand it. I didn't understand why I was so blissfully happy. Well, I had a lifetime as a Native American. Actually, I've had more than one, but I don't talk about any of the others. But because the one that I have talked about, we were in the process of being annihilated by the U.S. government, and I remember that lifetime really freaking well. And it wasn't until a now deceased loved one of mine came into my life, and he and I knew each other 3 months, maybe. Um, and all of a sudden, I started having psychic hits on the two of us, and I went, "Oh my god, I don't understand what this means." And he was like, "Nikki, do you have any comprehension what you're saying?" And I'm like, No, I just know that I'm having major flash. He goes, "You're having past lifetime memories." And he knew what the hell he was talking about. And so we would talk about it, and that was really when all of it started, and that was in 2010, 2011, something like that. Um, is that the right year? I think that's the right year. Anyway, my point is that because of him and remembering that he was my brother in a number of past lifetimes, but in that specific past lifetime, I knew exactly who he and I were. I knew I mean, man, I would have, to this day, I would take a lie detector on it. I mean, I know that that's who we were. I didn't know our names. I knew that we were siblings, and I knew what we did. And when I finally was able to research it, I was absolutely horrified to find out who we were. I mean, I was horrified in a good way. Stunned is probably the better word for that. Um, and I don't mean horrified in, I was like, no, stunned, dumbfounded. Dumbfounded is more of the right way to word that. I was horrified because of how we dealt with certain things. And it was because of him coming into my life that everything just started. I mean, it started lining up one after another, each lifetime. Um, and after that experience with him, I started having more flashbacks of different past lifetimes. I understood why um, memories of the Old West. I mean, like Old West, folks, 1800s, okay, 1800s, Old West. Why all of that made sense to me whenever I would start reading about it. I didn't understand that I was having flashbacks. So here's something. When I was in junior high, we had, oh, Liz, you're going to laugh at this. We had Mr. Lozier, and it's because of her that I finally remembered his last name. I don't remember his first name, but he was an interesting old uh, teacher, um, social studies teacher, and he had us do this book report. And Dicklewin said hi, hi. Um, Elwood, hello, Elwood. Um, okay, so basically, regarding scrolling YouTube, and I came across this live stream, so I decided to get on it. Well, I'm glad you did, Luke. But yeah, I mean, that's, pay attention to the things that you were interested in as a child. Through junior high, through high school, into your adult years, pay attention to that. Write that stuff down. I now understand that um, why I was so heavily invested in um, Egyptian archaeology, and why I was so heavily invested and wanted to become an archaeologist and to decipher um, hieroglyphics. It was really important to me as an 8-year old. As an 8-year old, seriously, it made I didn't understand that. My family didn't understand. I remember my mom talking to. I was going to say my dad. That's not what I meant. My mom talking to my grandmother about that. They were trying to find ways. So my mom was going to the library, the public library, to get books for me because I couldn't get enough of the picture book. And she would read information. That's one of the things that we did. Um, after dinner, we'd sit in after dinner in the living room, and I'd be curled up either on the floor or on the well, back then we called it a sofa or a couch. Lived on the West Coast, still do. Lived on the West Coast and of the United States, and you work through it. And I was heavily Black Beauty was a phenomenal book for me. My mom read beginning to end of that for me. I couldn't get enough of horses. Um, that's because I was Native American, and the horses, and not only that, I wasn't just Native American. There were lifetimes that I remembered that go back to Saudi Arabia, going back to Bedouin times, um, going back to, and that's what I was going to say is that um, in this psychic read with these five psychics, each one told me something that my soul was unexpectedly telling them, and at the same time, my guides were telling them, remind her of blah, blah, blah. Well, the horses was one. Um, I was reminded that in that reading, and I have the recording somewhere, um, about being in a Bedouin tribe. And all of a sudden, I started having flashbacks on my eyes. She didn't say anything other than remember the Bedouin tribe and the horses. And it lit 1313 on the numbers. And I literally started having these flashbacks of living multiple different lives as a man um, in different Bedouin tribes. Um, and I remembered something very specific. And I asked her, I said, what does this blah specifically mean regarding the horses? And she goes, you're seeing, she told me what I was seeing. And I said, yeah. And she said, think back to now and our sciences. And I'm like, okay. And she goes, you were breeding horses. And all of a sudden, this image of a very specific horse breed came into my mind. And she goes, the horse image that you have, I can't remember how she worded it, but essentially she told me, and her eyes were closed. None of them were looking at me. Not a single solitary one of them were watching me. She goes, the image that you have is something to this effect. The image that you have in your head right now of that specific horse, you created that horse breed. That horse breed is still alive. Now, you got to remember, this was in um, end of 1990s into the early 2000s when I had this reading by these five psychics. And, oh, my skin's starting to itch. I need to do the lotion again. Anyway, I haven't read chat, so hang on a second. Sorry, I'm shaking this up. So that's how I remembered different memories. Yeah, Kai Snyder, Roman soldier. That's wild, Nikki. Yeah, I mean, you calmed my spirit. That's cool. Thanks, Rev Nation. Okay, get back on it, Rev. That's wild. I never explored my past lives. Yeah, write things down. Make realizations of from your childhood what you were interested in as a kid, um, and go about it that way. I'm starting to cool down. That's why I'm getting itchy. Okay. Uh, our okay. Wood October. Well, I'm not God the Father. I don't have ESP, but I only had one revelation when I was 40 after reading the New Testament. But what you're saying, I got to admit I'm lost. Help me understand how. Um, or October slots. Okay. Uh, if you're under a certain age, you shouldn't be in this chat. Um, because this is typically adult conversation. Okay, so gotta say, if you don't believe in Christ, yeah, I do believe in Christ. I've met him. Then what you're saying is irrelevant. I'll admit I don't know you or your past, but I've been around 63 years strong, and I know the difference between right and wrong. Wow, people are just being deceived, shaking my head. Well, I'm 57. Um, I understand if you don't agree with, and I am a Christian. Um, I'm going to leave, but I will be back on Saturday at 10 p.m. Yes, correct. Um, I am a Christian, I baptized Christian. This is not about religion. This is about a soul experience living in this life. I have met Jesus. I know you don't know that, and I know you don't know me. Um, he took me to unexpectedly say goodbye to a friend that I didn't know had died. Um, and which just broke my heart that my friend had died. And I didn't realize, I knew Jesus, but I didn't realize who my soul was. And that's why I say go from 101 to 103 lifetimes to now 104 lifetimes, because I had a, a memory in the past year of remembering Jesus on the cross and being in that lifetime. And I I lost it. I emotionally lost it when I made that realization. So I understand. I mean, I've got friends who are um, Christian who the fact that I came out as a psychic medium was really hard for them. And others have accepted me because they've known me for 35, close to 40 years. Um, and they've always known that I've had different abilities. I do believe in prayer. I do believe in meditation. Um, I fight the good fight. And when I say that I remember Jesus on the cross, that's no joke. I remember him on the cross. And I even remember when they stabbed him to his side. It was there at a distance. And it broke my heart. And he changed my life. And he changed my soul. So, yeah, I get it. And people don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that an ET abductee is a Christian. They don't want to hear that an ET abductee is a psychic medium, and they don't want to hear about the religion aspect of it. I get all of that. I've been, people have essentially thrown me under the bus for years regarding all of this. But you know what? That's one of the things that somebody asked me last week. What would you tell kids, teenagers specifically? And I thought about that this week, and this is what I would tell them: be a critical thinker, learn and grow emotionally and spiritually in whatever way that means for you, whatever way that means for you and your soul. Stay true to who you really are. Now, that's hard to do. Going through life, going through all different aspects of life, that is really hard to do. Believe me, I know from firsthand experience. Um, when you start getting told by people that you know and have known for vast years that not only they believe that you're full of shit, that they believe that you're of evil and the devil and they shun you. Interesting, because judgment is not it's not us to judge. And yet they're in religion. So um I've been down the religion side of it. I have a very strong faith. I have a very strong sense of belief and uh, I guess you'd call it morality. I don't know what else to call it. But 1 on the number 1313. Thank you for saying that, Lil Kim. So be true to who you are. In the last, okay, so 11, 1, 11, 11, 13, 13 on the numbers. Elwood said hi. Hi. Um, be true to who you are. I stand firm in what I believe in. I stand firm in knowing right from wrong. And like that gentleman who was in here who said he was 63 and that he knew right from wrong and that people are being deceived, and then said, shaking my head, that's fine. That's his choice to believe that way. We are all individuals. I understand that. But other people get very angry over it. I don't, because I have an understanding that is different than his. We are all individualized, and that is for a reason. Um, and this is not at all what I wanted to talk about tonight. I wanted to talk about the grieving process and what it's like for people, whether whether you experienced it at 7 years old, 8 years old, 10 years old, 35. I don't know why the number 35 just popped up into my head. The 35 years old, 45 years old, 65 years, doesn't matter. You experience it differently. 813 on the numbers for you. Interesting. Um, so everybody has their own belief system. We're all taught differently. We all have our own religions on this planet. Um, hang on, guys. My lips are getting dry. Ugh, gadzooks. There we go. All right. So, you live your life to the best that you can. Okay. Do that so that you know that what that sound is from. um, and you live to whatever way that you can live. Um, you know, I had friends who were homeless. I've had friends who were mega multimillionaires. No longer in my life, but mega multimillionaires. Business folk. They were some of the nicest folk. And I've known people that were homeless that were absolute atrocious nightmares. And I've known folks that were homeless that were absolutely so incredibly nice and loving and caring, and they were in this situation for whatever reason. And then I've known people who are heavy into addiction. I was trying to figure out how to word that correctly. Um, and that's a whole different subject. You have to live the life that you've got. You've got to figure out a way that you want to live it. If you're into manifestation, if you're into doing things different, okay. Yeah, I'm getting a weird echo out of that ear. Um, You've got to live how you want to live. And if you can't live the way you want to live, then make changes in your life. And if you're not going to make those changes in your life, then you're most likely going to stay stuck and you're going to whine, bitch, moan, and carry on about it. Make the changes you need to have in your life in order to get where you want to be. Otherwise, what the hell are you doing? I mean, if you die and you cross over and you end up coming back, you're going to be living. And I've seen so many examples of this time and time and time again. If you choose not to better your soul and your consciousness and your understanding, if you make that choice and do the poor, pitiful me bullshit routine, and it is a bullshit routine because people get stuck into a mindset. If you get stuck into that mindset, for goodness sake, look at your environment. Look at how you're living. If that is not where you want to be, then make the changes that you need to make so that you can live, physically live in a different environment. 1313 on the numbers. So that you can live in a better, healthier environment and so that you can be mentally, psychologically better. If you've had abuse after abuse after abuse in your life, get your ass into counseling. If you're making the choice to not be able to do or to not do that, that's on you. That's on your soul. If it's a financial issue, then figure out a way that you can change that to where you can get the help that you need to make those changes to help change your mindset. Because when we get into a mindset and we get stuck in that mindset, we end up causing ourselves problems. Been there, done that, not fun. Make the changes you need to do. I've done that. It's not easy. But is it worth it? Yes, it's very worth it. I unexpectedly chose back in the 90s NLP counseling, neuro linguistical programming. It's basically it's reprogramming your own brain from negative self-talk to positive self-talk. And if you don't have self-talk, then you work on other methods, other things that can help you. You've got to find what works for you and your brain and your soul and in your life. But you've got to make those changes. Otherwise, same old bullshit routine over and over, day in, day out. You'll live that. Make the changes. There are people in your life who have most likely tried to help you in one fashion or form. Are you going to continue with the same old, same old? Or are you going to make changes? It's hard. It is not easy to make changes in one's life. I understand that. And I know I'm preaching to the choir. I'm also saying it to remind myself as well. Um, Chris is saying, I can't help feel that there's a connection between the conversation of reincarnation and dealing with grief, losing people close to us that we may be entangled with over many, many lifetimes. Yeah. Look what my mom did for me. What I found out my mom did. I was horrified. But that's what we do for each other. That's what our family soul tribe does for each other. When my great aunts and uncles came back to me and surrounded me when 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 COVID had hit and my mom ended up back in, I think it was her fourth round of being in the hospital, And this time they actually diagnosed her with COVID. The other 3 times they didn't, because they didn't know what the hell it was. Um, the other 3 times, and that was started in September, really hit her in October, and we had 3 rounds of hospitalization with her. Sorry, I've gotta move, and I'm really not wanting to hang on, I'm gonna hit mute. I don't wanna scream. Okay, sorry, folks. So that's what happens when you have a broke your tailbone and you've got all kinds of fun stuff from years ago and it still affects you. Fun, not. So yeah, talking about making changes, yeah, I'm making slow changes, but I'm making changes because I don't want to be dealing with this body the way it is over I'm 57 over the next 30 years or more. Well, actually, it's going to be more. I've been told how long I'm going to be living. That just blows my mind. But I've been told that by another psychic that was like, "Oh my God, you're going to be in a med bed and you're going to live until death." And I'm like, "What?" The oldest family member was 92 years old when they died in my family, so it's kind of a big deal to live past 100. But anyway, um, so you have to take you have to find things because if you sit and twiddle your thumbs and do the same routine day in and day out, you're not doing anything for yourself. You're you're absolutely not you're not doing anything for yourself. You have to be active and make those changes, and it's not easy. It is so not easy. Um, I've lived not easy, and it's tough. And I can say it's tough, but you know what? It really is a big deal when you make those choices to make that change, even if they're small changes. Hell, doing research is a change. You want to make a change and you start doing research, that's a positive step into making changes. Here's the thing with it though, you have to continue with when you find the information 1313 on the numbers, 122 and 1313 on the numbers. When you make those changes, and you have to follow through. So you do your research, you find the information you're looking for. Are you going to sit on that for the next 6 months? Or are you going to take measures and follow through with it? Because those are active measures in making changes. How active are you? Are you only able to do the research, get the information, and then you sit and twiddle your thumbs because of whatever in your life? Or because you're so freaking busy, well, then that comes down to making priorities. That's hard. It's real super easy for some folks, but prioritizing for other people is very, very hard. So I get it. And everybody is experiencing something different, but yet similar in one way or another. Folks, I'm gonna say this now before I forget it again. If you uh, like any of this conversation, please hit the subscribe button. If you like this conversation, please hit the like button, the thumbs up button at the top of the screen or wherever it's at on your device. So I do appreciate that. That means a lot to me, actually. I do not want to be 4 hours tonight or even 5 hours tonight. Um, I didn't kind of expect to go off track like I have, but I do think that, like Chris is talking about, it's all interconnected. That's not how Chris has said it, but that's essentially what's going on. It's all interconnected. Um, and one of the other things is speaking protection. Um, learn lucid dreaming. Now, I understand that lucid dreaming probably shouldn't be done absolutely every single night. Um, I get that, but at the same time, learn it. It can, especially with all the government program crap. If you know what I'm talking about, or want to know more, go back into my different live broadcasts, and you will find me talking about that stuff, regarding lucid dreaming, regarding protecting your consciousness. And there's a lot of garbage going on government wise, global government wise, as well as individual country government wise, as well as programs, as well as technology. There's a lot of things going on. So just be careful. Learn different. That's a form of protection method. So learn it. It'll help. It'll help keep you protected. Um, Little Kim, my great grandma lived to 97. Great grandpa 92, and grandpa now is 88. That's awesome. I'm glad they're alive, living, and doing well. Or alive and living and trying to do well. Kai, after I lucid dreamed, I didn't have any dreams or nightmares for months. So strange. It's because you learn to control your brain and your consciousness. That's what it boils down to. Yeah, I've known a lot of people to have what they call night terrors. I don't call them night terrors. Um, but then don't ask me what I call them because I don't remember. There's a term that I used to call them, and I don't remember it right now. That's from my own targeting. Isn't that fun? Um, so anyway, but yeah, lucid dreaming. If you get yourself into lucid dreaming, you can make some pretty significant changes in how your brain processes information. And that's kind of a big deal, especially with everything going on right now. Um, there's there's some information I was going to share tonight, but certain things didn't take place. So I'm going to wait either until next week or a couple of weeks out before I share information, certain information. Um, and it's going to get wild and that fun. It's going to get interesting. Um, real fast. Anyway, um, little Cam then could pop off like crazy. Yeah, really could. Nancy. Hello, Nancy. Nancy Camacho. Uh, 2108. Hi. Hello. How you doing, hun? Welcome to Restore Belief. I am Restore Belief with Nikki. I am Nikki. I am Nikki Jacobs. I am an ET abductee, psychic medium, surrogate mother to hybrid kids. That's always a fun conversation. Um, and tonight's topic of conversation has been the grieving process, past lifetimes, dealing with a long, wide range of subjects. Robert Battleliner is saying any wilder and animal control. Any wild and animal control. Oh, any wilder and animal control might need to be called. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And tonight we don't have somebody who was rage baiting me. So I appreciate that. Um, yeah, last week was a 1 minute from a 6 hour live broadcast. That was a bit much. Um, and I had a guy coming back. He was booted and came back instantly in 3 different accounts, total of 3 different accounts. And there we go. That's much better. Uh, and on Wednesday of this past week, I had a friend tell me, "Oh, you realized he was rage baiting you." That doesn't surprise me because of what I was talking about, but I also know who he was. 1414 on the numbers. You have a lovely soul. Thank you, Nancy. I appreciate that. Battle liner, no. Okay, see, I didn't. Who's John? No, and I'm not saying the numbers. Sorry, John says. Robert, I didn't even see numbers. I don't have a clue as to where you're seeing that. I've got it up, but God, that's getting real itchy. That's hormones. I just found out today. Oh yeah, when your skin gets itchy when you get older, it's usually due to hormones. Oh, f that info. So, Cole Sun. Oh yes, thank you, Robert. I forgot. Um, yeah, I like John. John's a cool kid. Um, adult, I should say. He's just shy of 18. So anyway, um, a little Cammy. Yeah. Yeah, we had a lot of people in the last few weeks who've been trying to get me to say two certain numbers together because it deals with something specific that's all the viral rage right now. And I'm like, screw that. No. Um, and it made no sense to, and it was gamers, a lot of gamers that were doing it in the last few weeks. So that's where that whole situation comes from. Anyway, but back to the grief subject, if you are going through that or have gone through it, just know it does pop up periodically, even years later. Um, and it can be really surprising. Just remember some of the processes that when you went through the different techniques that you learned going through it, um, and be good to yourself about it. Don't belittle yourself. That's the negativity. You don't need the extra or excess negativity in your life. So make sure that you take very good care of yourself when you go through it. Um, find, now, this is not a favorite scent, but this is a very old lotion that I use when my hands, specifically when I'm on a live, because I can't find my other regular lotion, but this one works. Good temporary one. But find a scent that you like. There are different things that I learned in counseling, such as blowing bubbles. The simple act of a child, most people learned that you blow bubbles when you're a kid. When out comes this great big glycerin soapy bubble. Well, the act of doing that, the actual deep breath that you take, the actual release of the air, and the creation that you do in blowing a bubble actually helps you. Um, it brings up it, or it should bring up um, happier memories, happier times. But the actual act of it can actually open up the vagus nerve in the body and help release stress and pressure. Um, so just try the different things. Use old-fashioned techniques of finding things that make you happy. Like simple thing for me is certain kinds of iced tea, sweetened iced tea without the sugar. I'm not diabetic, but I am insulin resistant, and so I use a sugar alternative or substitute, and it works for me. And it's, whoops, there goes the bottle. It actually for me, this brings up good, happy memories. I used to drink iced tea when I was a teenager, and um, I used to drink a lot of iced tea. And now I make my own iced tea. I um, use a number of different teas put together to create my own, and I keep it it's very condensed in my refrigerator, and then I add my water and my sweetener to it, and it doesn't need a lot of sweetener. And it brings up such happy moments, a lot of happy moments. Um, so especially in stressful times. And so um, yeah, Little Cam says I get Ice Mountain water from Sam's Club. Though I love Fiji too. Yeah, I mean there are different kinds of waters brands out there, and people can do their own thing. I mean, find something that works for you. Um, so the scent, there's an actual scent to the tea that I make that brings up really good happy memories. There's a scent in the lotion I use. Not this specific lotion, but a different body lotion. There is soap as well. Find things that create little moments of, because scent really, if you have a good sense of smell, and if you don't, look into zinc, do your own research into that. It's something that I learned with my mom as she lost her sense of taste and her sense of smell, and that's Alzheimer's. According to the neurologist that I spoke with regarding my mom. Um, and so that was a heck of an eye opener. If I had truly understood that back in the day, I have a naturopath. Oh, yeah, you take zinc, and it's part of you do your own research and talk to your own medical team. And that's a whole nother subject regarding um, mineral deficiencies. I was trying to remember how to say that. Mineral deficiencies, and you just work it out. Um, get blood tests. Do your own. Ask your doctor. Talk to your doctors. Don't let your doctors gaslight you. I've had too many years of that. There are some doctors that were really damn good at gaslighting, and others that were like, "No, try this, Nikki. Look into this. I know you do research. Look into this. Look into that." And then let's have you come back in however long, and let's have a conversation about this, but also let's see what your blood tests or your urine tests look like, and where your levels are and all of that. Have an open conversation with your medical team. That's a big freaking deal. um, I did not know that, Little Cam, but I'm not going to read that one out loud. So if you want that information, go into the chat, because Lil Cam just made a really good, interesting statement. So about ice, chewing ice. Um, I've not heard that and I've not experienced that, but if you're interested, take a look in the chat. Anyhow, but yeah, stand up for yourself. You have to stand up for yourself and be an advocate for yourself. That's the other side of life, is you really need to, uh, especially with the grieving process, especially if it hits unexpectedly like it did mine a couple of nights ago. And it happened last night too. It wasn't just a couple of nights ago. I unexpectedly came across a deceased friend's Facebook page, and I hadn't seen a picture of him in a very long time, and I lost it. And then I had a little electric charge on my top of my foot, on my skin, and I heard, "I've missed you too." And I went, "Oh my God, you're here!" And I didn't know that he had he's stuck around. He's um, he's still on the other side and hasn't reincarnated yet. And he's a dear loved one, dear friend, and don't go there. I heard that. um, and so see, now I'm embarrassed. Now the cheeks are gonna go a little pink. Um, but he was a dear friend, dear loved one, and um, we were very close, very good friends. It was family to me, and when people cross over, you know, my experience has been, and it really was him. It wasn't just the residual. I've actually had somebody who not only died, crossed over, and then a number of years later was reincarnated, and I got told, well, their residual energy is here. And I went, huh? What you talking about? I was like, what? And so it was because of that situation that I got told by the hierarchies that, yeah, it's residual energy, and they wanted to be sure that you had information and they left information for you. And I was just like, what? What the hell? What are you talking about? I was just dumbfounded by that. That's why I get a little frustrated when I hear other psychics and mediums talking about, no, when you reincarnate, there is nothing on the other side. And I'm like, that is not my experience at all. That's why I say that, because that's not what I've been told by the hierarchy. So, you know, everybody deals with their psychic abilities differently. And if you've got some, if you and I too believe everybody has psychic abilities. It's just we are consistently told from birth, oh no, you don't. And unless that's interesting. I just had a weird right here, it just had a weird feeling right there. Um, if you're can't figure out how I was gonna say this. Everybody has abilities in one fashion or form. It's what you were told and what you grew up with. If you have family members who are more open about it, then hey, Woo Riders, how you doing, hun? Um, what's cracking, Woo sister? A lot, a lot, a lot, a lot. Um, and so if you've got family members who are very open with their uh, abilities and are willing to deal and talk. Desi says, please tell her I said hello too. Um, 4EJ Smith, hello, says hello. I'm saying hello back. How you doing, hun? Um, if you've got family members who are open about their psychic abilities, and I don't know what else to call it. I've heard so many people say, well, they're not abilities, they're God's gift, and they're this and they're that. I don't care what you call them. I just don't know what else to call them. To me, there it's a form of an ability that everybody has. It's just your gut instinct is a form of that psychic ability. Um, so learn as you grow. Learn as you grow. Um, Forey Smith is saying, "How you doing?" I'm doing all right now. How are you doing? Uh, Draftinator. I'd like a painting of the famous. Oh, that's an interesting thought. I would like. So Draftinator is saying, I'd like a painting of the famous foot baker Messai holding a duck. We'll pay 300. Well, that's interesting. Hide it under my bed until the right person comes, and I will show it to them very quickly, and then hide it again. Interesting. Hide it from my neighbors. Purified Water says, hello, Purified Water. Kai says, Nikki, you gave great tips on developing your abilities. Thank you. Fori, am cool. I'm glad you're cool. That's good. Um, cool in that you're good. Little Kim, the influx of people arrives. Yeah, um, there have been times I've had 25 in the chat, and then it goes down to 5, and then it goes back up to 13 or 15. So, yeah, people come and go, and that's why usually the longer I go on, the longer I'm doing a live is that's why I get the numbers that I get. Um, Draftinator, they're our paintings. Sandra says Lionel Messi. Draftinator, I love duck painting so much. Philip, oh my word, Philip, how you do? I haven't seen you in here a while. At least not that I remember. You might have been here last week, but I don't remember for sure. I remember everybody who comes in every week. Well, okay, if they're constant, then yeah, I do. Oh, okay, that came out wrong, but you get my idea. You get my point. You like Draftinator says I really like paintings of famous footballers as well. Yeah, I can understand that. So you're in the UK, I gather. Footballers usually means the UK. Usually, not always, but usually means the UK, correct? Um, Hi, Philly B. That's awesome. I like that. It's been a while. Greetings. Yeah, I'm glad to see you. I'm getting a number of folks coming in. I didn't realize what time it is. It's 10 to midnight here, or thereabouts, almost 10 to midnight. Um, yeah, yeah. Okay. I got 2 clocks. One that way, one that way. um, Draftinator. I am in Kyrgyzstan. I'm not pronouncing that right, and I do apologize. Immensely apologize. Um, Kyrgyz. I hope this is correct. Kyrgyzstan. I will get that eventually. Anyway, welcome to my chat. I'm in the west coast of the United States. I'm in Washington State. Welcome to my chat. Whoa. Who are you? Whoa. That was a trip. My eyes just, wow. Okay, that was a psychic hit. Wow. Okay. Um, Philip says, I was just listening to a podcast speculating that Garth Brooks may be a. Yeah, I don't agree with that, but I understand because I've been hearing different bits and pieces of that, and that's not. I don't. I don't agree with that, but that's what's going around right now, and I'm like, wow, wow. Um, P.S. Dagobi says, "Oh my God," says hi. How are you? I'm doing good. Sandra says, Asia. Yes, thank you. Uh, Draftinator. A lot of people in like paintings of farm animals. Good to know. I didn't know that. I was just thinking, you're calling me a pig? Oh, that's interesting. Dagobi. Yeah, I think you're gonna go away because I'm not putting up with that. If you cannot be respectful in here, then you go away. I'm not dealing with that. No. Calling me a pig and telling me I'm oink oink and all that shit. You can't be respectful, then you get booted, and I will block your ass. So you know. Um, Draftinator, PSDI was not a nice person. No, that is a spammer and being really freaking rude. Um, Deep Breezy Bra. Yeah, guys respect the 90s headset. Well, it's the one somebody else got for me unexpectedly, and because my other one went to crap in a handbasket. So, yeah, it wasn't so fun. Um, so guys respect the 90s headset. I didn't even think of it that way, but yeah, I guess it is. It's working. Yeah, that's the key. It's gotta freaking work if I'm gonna be doing live broadcasts. Okay, one second. I gotta take a swig of iced tea. Brian Ferguson. Hello, how you doing? Welcome to my channel. It's a cool background. You're into astronomy. Okay, my eyes. Is your Slitch? Is that what's that? Cool background. You're into astronomy. Actually, hold on to your hold on to your britches, boys and girls. We're going deep. Actually, I'm an ET abductee and was a lifelong ET abductee, and I was on a ship, and that was what I saw when I was 4 years old. And I knew it as the Infinity Galaxy. That's what the ETs called it, that I was on board with. And I only found out in 2019 that it's the Butterfly Nebula. So, yeah, pull them bootstraps up, baby, because that's a subject. um, you love Brian. I love the story you're telling. Thank you. Appreciate that. Anyway, okay, so I want to be sure. Whoops! Holy crap! I hit a button. Didn't mean to hit a button. um, I'm into UFO too. Awesome. Hang loose, Bab. Babe is what I was trying to say. The freaking words are getting goofed up. How does one get rid of a negative alter for good? And can you explain alters and walk-ins? Oh dear God, we writers. That's a subject and a freaking half, dear. SSH is secure shell. Lich is an undead mage. Oh, you think ETs are friendly or gonna destroy us and take advantage of us? Honey, they're already taking advantage of us. Um, laugh out loud. DG is my doppelganger, says Lil Kim. Okay. Um, okay, so that's a subject. Slitch is Loosh Factory. That's a hell of a subject. Okay, so there's good ETs, there's bad ETs, and there's ones that are in between, and then there are ETs that are truly vile. Absolutely truly vile. None Okay, so ETs are just like humans. In that there's good, bad, indifferent, and ones that are truly vile. How's that for an answer? That is what I know. That is what I've experienced throughout my entire lifetime. I'm 57 years old. My first memory of ET abduction is at 4 years old with that situation. Hang on one sec. Excuse me. And so basically, I'm looking at the art. They're interesting. Not all draconian reptilians are bad. Same with all species. Yeah, exactly, we writers. Um, Such not more than governments and billionaires, laugh out loud. People are much more dangerous than anything coming from outer space. Yes and no. There are good and bad reptilians. There's some truly vile draconians, and there are some very few draconians that are actually good. And that's where everything gets mixed up. Vile in what way? if you could tell, obviously. Uh, hey, Jay. The JAY man has arrived. Hello, JAY man. Um, there is petroglyphs there. Oh, interesting. We Americans are vaguely familiar with Mongolia. Not much else. Okay. Jay says hello. Hi. Okay, vile. In what way? Okay, so I've been around certain draconians and certain reptilians that were really wicked and vile. VILE. They were vicious beyond description. I've been around, and my body actually, I get when I get around those specific races of ET that are that way, specifically that way. Um, I have a unexpected, and I'm starting to go pasty because of it. Yeah, that's a memory I don't want to get into, but they can be really, really nasty, vicious, vicious. And if you've ever been around them, your body physically reacts. Your body instantly knows. Your soul knows. It remembers. I get so violently ill when I get around the truly wicked, vile ones. I have a really bad reaction, physical reaction, to the point of projectile vomiting. It is completely uncontrolled. It is something my body instantaneously knows before my conscious mind knows. Okay. I've been around ones that I absolutely do not have any of that reaction to. None whatsoever. I've had ones that I have a bad reaction to, but they're not the truly wicked, vile, what I would classify in the evil category. Different ball game. So um, that's why I say all ETs are not. They're just like humans in the sense of you've got good ones, bad ones, and truly wicked, evil, vile ones. Okay, but it's mostly the ones that are around right now. They're mostly good. There are others that I'm like, oh my God, they're working with the different global governments. It's like, what the hell? I keep wanting to say, what the F? What the? So many choice words. Yeah, I gotta use a different one because this one is, my lips are starting to go now. Um, sorry guys, I know, loudness. Um, okay, hang on. I haven't done any research on any of this stuff, says Jay. Philip Blair, is that your body's warning system sounding the alarm? Yeah, it really is. I get when I get around the bad ones, the really wicked, evil, what I call the vile ones. Um, it's through telepathy, and also, do they speak English? Yes. Telepathically, yes. Devices, yeah, they use different devices. Um, so, how many ETs do you think are in the world? Okay, world as in on this planet, or around this planet, or in multiple universes. It's a different subject. Different numbers, very different numbers. How many? I quite honestly, I don't know. I'm only making a what I would call a guesstimate. Okay, this planet. Yeah, that's where I was headed. um, I think in inner Earth combined on this planet that are able to pass for humans in some way, fashion, or form, I think you're looking at probably thousands upon thousands. In the planet, I think you're looking at hundreds of thousands. Um, Different ballgame, completely different ballgame. Uh, and like, if you are so concerned about government streaming is not what you should do, but they don't care anyways, I think, oh, yes, they do. They put together a program to where they are targeting different people in ufology and different experiencers for coming out and talking because they don't want information out. And they made a program. It's different people that I know did extensive psychic research into this, and they found out that the program is called Project Oblivion, and it's Project Oblivion is all about getting ufology people to attack each other. It's about experiencers attacking each other, and it's deliberately done to create dissension amongst, as the old term would be, dissension among the ranks. Well, it's dissension amongst different communities, and it's fighting within the communities, and it's all about that. So watch your P's and Q's. In other words, watch what you say, how you say it, and who you say it to. Because I'm just being very blunt. Be very careful about it. Um, uh, oh God, I can't think of her last name. Uh, Olivia James. Thank you, Mom. Olivia James and Misha Johnston and a number of other people have talked about Project Oblivion, and it gets really wicked, like really freaking wicked. So um, if you disagree with somebody, disagree with them, but don't turn it into a major fight. Watch how your own emotions are within it, because there's so many different projects and different uh, things out there. I can't programs, different programs out there created by government to cause dissension, to cause major problems within different communities, so that we undermine each other, and so that they don't have to do it for us. Well, they're kind of doing it. Um, uh, Philip. Also, I found a short story from the 1970s where the term alter reality for virtual reality. I've only read the intro so far. Looked like if PDK wrote dirty stuff. Oh, interesting. Probably did, but if he published it, says, well, interesting. Jay is asking, where are you from? I'm in the United States. I'm on the West Coast in Washington State. Where are you from, Jay? Um, so yeah, it's just know that these government is trying to rip, get everybody to rip each other apart. 18 on the numbers. Wow. Okay, that's interesting. Um, okay, so do ETs speak English? Yes. Are they telepathic? Some are, some are not. I wanted to make a clarification. Some ETs are telepathic, some are absolutely not. Devices, do they use devices? Yeah, many of them do. Many different races of ET use all different kinds of technology devices. But to be communicative, where they can communicate, um, many of them know some form of Earth's languages so they can speak it. Um, uh, okay, I missed this. I'm very in. Okay, Slitch is saying I'm very interested in that. Is there any way to contact any, or is it just for chosen like you, or just like our memories get wiped, and only certain ones can resist that? Oh, very good question. Um, is there a way to contact any ETs? Yes, actually there is. There's quite a few ways. Um, so people call it CE5. You have to get right with your intention if you want to contact ETs. Um, so there's so many. Whoa, you're awake. There are. Whew, yeah, now I'm lightheaded. There's so many different ways to go about contacting. You're going to have to watch one of my other broadcasts. I don't remember which one. I know I talked about it last week, but it was mostly talked about, I think, the week the 2 weeks prior to last week, um, about contacting ET. And it's about getting right with your intention and your consciousness. Um, because wow, really getting, it's like I'm getting hit with something right now. Wow. Um, so get right with your consciousness, get right with your heart, and your intentions. Deal with that first, and then go about trying to make contact. Um, so that's the simplest and fastest way to say it. But if you want more, go back into some of the live broadcasts that I've done to deal with that. Um, Or is it just for chosen like you? No, anybody can do it. It's just you got to get your intentions right. Um, or just like our memories get wiped and only certain ones can resist that. It's very few people, humans, that can actually resist certain ET, certain races of ET that can um, make a person go into. It's a form of consciousness manipulation and human mind manipulation, and it gets really wonky really fast. So do some research. Go back into, I kid you not, go back into the description boxes of when I was doing description boxes. There's a lot of different information in those. I stopped doing, after my mom died, I stopped doing, this year in February, I pretty much stopped doing description boxes. I couldn't do it. I did not, that was part of my grieving process and me taking care of myself. Um, so you're gonna have to go back in and look at the description boxes in the past live shows and, or I hate calling them shows, past live broadcasts. Um, wow, yeah, I'm getting nailed with something. It's getting really rather wonky. That's not gonna be fun. That's gonna be really. They better frickin' knock it off, or I'm gonna take care of it, shall we say. Um, Philip Blair sounds like the old divide and conquer game. Yes, it is. Okay, Philip says, I looked up Oblivion plus UFO. A 1994 movie about cowboys and aliens came up. I'm sure this isn't it. No. No, not at all. Um, Jay says, cool, I'm in North Texas. Oh, awesome. Uh, Slitch says, preservers, euthnologists, predators. Yeah. Have you met any hive minds or post biological, any incorporeal? Oh, yeah, I've got okay, regarding incorporeal. Um, I've got an ET. I've got a guide who is a deceased ET. I've got a guide who is a living ET. Oh, that's a female, and that's an interesting conversation over that one. Um, Little can. Okay, wait a minute. Philip says the powerful see way too many things as threatening and want to divide perceived threats. Yes, they do. Yeah, I'm getting nailed. My eyes. I'm having a hard time even with my vision right now. I'm like they're yeah, okay. Um I want to get back into this switch. Have met any hive. Just a second. There's good okay, little Cam. There's good documentaries on it like Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, which are here on YouTube. Yeah, I believe it is. So Slitch, have met any hive minds? Yes. There's a number of races of ET who are pretty heavily predominant regarding the hive collective mind, so to speak. Hang on. So look into some of that. Um, and then there are others who are absolutely not, and that was a throat thing. That was bizarre. Anyway, um, yeah, in a lot of ways, I agree, little Cam. Documentaries, movies, Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. Yeah, it's essentially a documentary in many different levels. There's a number of things that are. I have a memory that I'm trying to find other ET abductees who were forced participants in SSP, Secret Space Program, um, who remember what I do. I'm looking for them right now who remember what I do that is beyond or is on the edge of our galaxy. There's a very, very large I'm not going to say what it is right now. I'm going to call it a device. There's an extremely large device, quote unquote, on the edge of our galaxy, and I've seen it in when I was on an ET ship as a kid. 1212 on the numbers, and then 1218 on the numbers. So we have 2, 12, 8, 12, and 8. Oh God, 2, 12, 12, 18. That's what I was trying to say. Yeah, this is they're hitting me with a frequency weapon, which is why my ears are having issues and why my eyes want to go blind, which means I need to be taking certain things tonight. So here's what I say to you, motherfucker, government assholes who are doing this. Um, and as a matter of fact, I'm calling in. 1 second, folks. Funny how it stopped. Um, Okay, the powerful see way too many things as threatening and want to divide perceived threats. Yes. Says Philip. Lil Cam, there's good. Okay. Lil Cam, are you in the S4 Discord server? I'm not there right now. And I haven't been, well, pretty much since mom died. So since February 2025. Um, because certain things took place. And this is a device that I've got 618 on the numbers right now. 215 and 618 on the numbers. Um, I haven't checked it since March, I think, because mom died in February. So yeah, I think March was the last time I was in that. So there's your answer for that one. 1 second, I gotta deal with something here. Okay, hopefully this will help. Interesting how when I reach out, it stops on the eyes. Fascinating how that works. Um, I don't remember my handle. I haven't been in there in ages, like so many months. I literally I do not remember what it is. I don't remember if it's Angels. I don't remember if it's Nikki. I'm sorry, Lil Cam. I just do not remember. And I don't have it on this device for safety issues because they use an extremely large amount of memory and updates, constant updates, and it screws with my technology hardcore. So I have to have a device that can actually handle it. So, and that doesn't have any of the other things that I've got on it. That's specifically for I need a device specifically for Discord alone because they screw everything up for me. Or at least that's what I had learned in the last couple of years. So um, there's that one. Anyway, um, and we haven't used that. We haven't used Discord for the S4 Paranormal Bunker. We haven't used that in um, since we had to switch from Skype over to Teams. So whenever that was, I think that may have been June. Um, so we haven't. I don't think we've used, and I don't think any of us in the S4 Paranormal Bunker have used it. Um, yeah, Snowden has warned about apps like that. Yeah, yeah. Um, there's a couple of others. Private message me on Facebook, Lil Cam. We'll have a conversation. I'll get you info, different things if you want to talk to me. Or email me, restorebelief2022@gmail.com if you're not on Facebook. Because I can't remember if you, I don't think you are, but I could be wrong. Because there's a number of people that I know that have gotten away from Facebook and a number of other things and use other servers and apps and things like that. So anyhow, um, anyways, yeah, it's been we've had quite the conversation tonight, folks. Um, I figure about 15 more minutes and then we're gonna call it. Hello from Kurdistan. Hello. Hush. Hi. Um, I can't even pronounce that. Hush, man. So, well, I'm saying hello, even though I cannot correctly pronounce your name. Hello, dear. Welcome to my chat. If you have questions about grieving, if you have questions about ET abductions, about uh gosh, hybridization, um all sorts of things. So, oh, thank you. You're so cute. Thank you. I appreciate that. Um So 220 and 1018 on the numbers. Anyhow, I've kind of got a brain fart going on. I can't think of other things I was going to talk about, but we've hit most of them, I think. So if anybody has any questions, now's the time. Let's get them up and out, and I will answer what I can. I want to respond. I do want to respond about last week because I had a person uh, do what I found out is called rage baiting. Um, I want to talk about that a minute. Again, uh, I want folks to understand just because I'm an ET, a lifelong ET abductee, I do not have all the freaking answers out there. I'm not one of those people. I mean, and if anybody tells you that they've got all the answers there possibly, they're lying. That's BS. Do not believe them. Everybody that is an ET abductee either has memories. Hello, strangey one. Hello, how are you? Hi, I'm good. Um, every ET abductee either has memories or no memories at all. They may have chunks of memories. May have or bits and pieces of memories, um, or one large collective memory, or that kind of thing. But realize this: experiences with ETs are similar. They're not precisely exactly the same. Okay? The other thing is, in ET experiences, you're going to get a large, vast range of information. 22, 22 on the numbers that I just saw when I looked up a moment ago. Very different now, but anyway. So keep that in mind. All right. Um, if somebody's telling, I got you added on Facebook. I was only following your social page before. Didn't think to add personal account. Ah, got it. Okay. Appreciate that, little Cam. So just be aware of that. If somebody's telling you that they've got all the answers, they're full of shit. In my opinion, they are full of it. Because our experiences as an ET abductee can range vastly. And everybody has a wide range of experiences. Some can be real similar, some can be real close to the same, but there's different things in there that are different. Most ET abductees can recognize a true ET abductee who is talking about it because there are certain things that they talk about. And those that try to fake it, there's an energy signature about them, usually. And even those who can act, and this deals with the Hollywood folks, as much as I love different aspects of the Hollywood stuff regarding movies, because hello, we've got the slow drip factor going here in Hollywood with ET abductions and ETs, or space information, or a wide range of information in Hollywood, with the slow drip factor in regarding ufology in one fashion or form. You're dealing with situations to where there's so many vast pieces of the puzzle that we are the pieces of the puzzle. And when you put all of that together, that can make a real big difference. It's putting all of those pieces of the puzzle together and making the picture. But if you've got somebody in ufology saying, "Oh, I've got all the answers," or versus "This is what I know, this is what I was told, this is what I was shown, this is what I experienced," very different. It's very, very, very different. So just keep that in mind when you're dealing with all of this, okay? Just want to put that out there because there's a lot of things that I have personally been watching that I'm absolutely astounded by certain people that are making claims of information and they're, oh yeah, I know all about this, and then they're going off about it. And it's like, no, that's not correct. So just be aware. Be very, very careful and be very, very aware when you're dealing with the subject of ufology. Anyway, um, and if you're going through a grieving process or you're going through, because that's what the subject was tonight, if you're going through a grieving process or you're going through different aspects of, um, like I did a couple of nights ago and even last night with different loved ones that had died. Some had died 20 years ago. Well, one specifically had died over 20 years ago, and the other one had died, I think, oh God, somewhere between 10 and 15 years ago. Uh, just no, it is grieving is a process. It pops up when we least expect it, and it can be triggered from pretty much anything. So, do your research out a counselor if you don't have one. Um, Talk to your people that you've got in your life. If you need support, if you're in crisis, reach out to a crisis line, that kind of stuff. Okay, folks? I really want to be able to get that out there. Um, Grieving is a process, and it's a lifelong process. I've had family members, even though I had a second mom pop up. She, oh God, it was last month, and I was absolutely, I was like, oh my God, you're here, and after she left, that's when it hit me, and I started crying, I started bawling, I was like, oh my God, and I'm like, it's just, it was really nice to talk to her. It was really nice it was a very brief chat, um, but it meant the world to me. And periodically, we will have loved ones show up. Uh, Evan Evan Ray Novick. Hello. I recently started dressing as. Evan, I've had male friends who love doing that. It's your thing. 818 on the numbers. 218 818. Um, be you. Be who you truly are. If that's what you want to do, then do it. If you're making fun of people, then don't. By God, it's not something for you. If it's something that is in your soul, then go about it. I've had people in my life. I've had guys in my life who've been dear friends who are like, Nikki, I got something I got to talk to you about, and I'm kind of afraid to talk to you about it. And I'm like, okay, and why are you choosing me to talk about it? Because you're not going to be, oh my God, you shouldn't be doing this, and that. They are cross dressers. They don't let anybody else know about it. They've told me. And I'm like, okay, if that's what you want to do, do it. If that's not where you're at, then don't do it. I had one person I know who was terrified to let anybody in his life know that he wore women's clothing underneath his business attire. And I'm like, okay, And he's like, I just like the silky feeling. And I'm like, okay, that is a comfort issue. That can be a tactile thing. There's so many different factors to be you. If other people have a hard time with it, that's on them. But be forewarned, they may try to make your life really freaking difficult. Because I don't like using this word very often, but they're bigoted in one way or another. People are not accepting of what they cannot comprehend themselves. And I get a lot of that being an ET abductee. I'm not comparing the two. Just an FYI, I'm not comparing the two. But I have had that experience where people condemn me because I state openly and publicly I am a Christian, I am an ET abductee, and you have to do you. I'm not going to be some judgmental frickin' prick. That's bullshit in my book. You have to be who you are. And it's hard for people to do that. And it's really difficult. And you know, um, be you. Be who you truly are. As long as you're not a serial unaliver and you're not some psychotic thing, that's a different ball game. That's that that's a totally different ball game. Um, so just be who you are. Do you have people that you can actually trust with that information? If not, keep it to yourself. But just know. Um, Now, okay, Odin, Odin Old Man. That's not nice, and we're going to be respectful in my chat. Um, Little Cam, yeah. Little Cam, I had all the hairstyles in high school, a mullet, mohawk, man bun. I always had fun messing with my hair in various forms. Yeah, I'm a Gen Xer, honey. I'm 57 years old. I saw it all. Um, Odin, disrespectful to who? To me and other people in my chat. That kind of a comment, Odin, really not okay. And it is very disrespectful to other people. Evan, yes, I have one person I dress up with, and she is the one who took me out tonight. Awesome. I hope you had a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Anyway, it's 2 hours and 33 minutes into this, and it is time for me to go. It is 1:34 in the morning. No, 12:30. Sorry, really the wrong number. Sorry. 12:34 a.m. Uh, Pacific time. I hope you have a very good night. I hope you are respectful of those around you. Um, know that you got people supporting you. I try to make it so that my chat can be supportive of other people, and if people are disrespectful, I will boot them, or I will remove their comments, delete their comments, or such as last week where we had somebody who was rage baiting. I will block your ass, and I have no problems in doing that whatsoever anymore. So just be aware of that. You can ask me anything, but if you're going to be rage baiting and doing instantaneous responses, and that is, and doing spamming, no, you're going to be booted. So, so be respectful of other people, um, and try to be nice. And if you can't be nice, then you have no business in my chat whatsoever. Anyway, oh, and to the young, because apparently we've got a few people who are quite young, who have shown up, which I find interesting. I don't because this does not for the young. Okay, so this, however, is for everybody, including the young. Be a critical thinker. Learn and grow emotionally and spiritually in whatever way that means for you. Stay true to who you really are. And remember to work on loving yourself. And I'm not talking physically, I'm talking about loving who your soul is, loving who you are inside, loving who your mind is, that kind of thing. Okay? I hope you have a rest of a really good weekend. Um, I hope you stay safe. And I hope you have good blessings coming your way at some point. And I hope you have a great week. Bye, folks. Take very good care of yourselves. And thank you for coming in and listening and for being in my chat and for listening again. Anyway, bye all. Night night or good morning, whatever time of day it is, or night. Bye.